Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity actually to speak today in front of so many young faces. I am generally used to gray suits, blue suits, generally men. So really it is an honor for me to be here today and to share with you actually a few thoughts, few facts about Croatian economy. And as you could heard, I am not a person of culture. I do not come from the cultural sector, but somehow I tried to fit my lecture into the general framework and general overview of the conference. In the second part of my lecture, I will try to present to you a few small case studies, a few small examples by which I would like to illustrate that really Croatia is a very good example of a country which can base an important chunk of its development on its culture, heritage, relationship between the cultural heritage, natural beauties, tourism, and similar. Is there anybody here who has visited Croatia? Oh, very good. So many of you have a personal sense and personal feeling and personal experience about the country, about the people. I hope you like it. It is a small country. Economists would say small open. Bottom line, people are living there with 10,000 euros per capita, which actually is 62% of European average in purchasing power parity. It is not so bad, having in mind the path Croatia went through to achieve the current status of the EU membership. But of course, people would like more and people would wish more, and rightly so. Because currently the economy is in a fragile shape, I would say. And Croatia, unfortunately, currently is standing in the group among the European economies that did not make to find their way out of the crisis. So Croatia currently is at the beginning of the 6th year of crisis. With the exception of 2011, GDP is declining since 2009. Last year, decline was minus 1%, and this actually means that GDP in levels fall back on the levels of 2004. Unemployment is high, and in particular, unemployment of young people is high. More than 40% of young people are unemployed. So Croatia somehow is sharing the first and the second place in the European Union together with Spain when we talk about the unemployment of the young people. This is actually the main reason why we think so much about the job opportunities, and actually this lecture was also an excellent opportunity for me to research a bit and to think through, and actually this lecture and my preparations for this lecture also allows me to realize that in the area of culture, really there are a lot of opportunities, in particular for the young people. At the same time, unfortunately, fiscal problems are mounting, and I'm not talking about, and I'm not planning to talk about these issues in details. But Croatia actually is facing another round of fiscal consolidation measures. The reason for such not so favorable situation, the reasons are mainly structural. Issues like unfavorable business climate, difficulties of doing business, inefficient bureaucracy, still present red tape, high influence of state over the economy, paralleled by a relatively high redistribution and high taxes, are actually long-standing issues. These issues and these problems, which are somehow defining and shaping the difficulties of recovery, are not from yesterday. However, Croats proved themselves as not so efficient solution finders for the structural problems. One of the reasons maybe, an economist would say, one of the reasons maybe is in the fact that these high and important goals Croatia reached during the years actually to a significant extent mask the efficiency and the effectiveness of transition process. A lot of these problems which are currently holding back the economy are somehow related to the deficiencies in the transition process and actually to the inadequate effectiveness of the transition process. Therefore, our reality is a reform agenda. A reform agenda is one of the most pressing issues in Croatian society. Without clear and articulated reforms in the area of the public administration, in the area of the bureaucracy, in the area of the state organization, in the area of the way how the health system is functioning, recovery and job creation will be slow. Because these things and these areas are actually the areas of the bottlenecks, which defines the business climate I mentioned and which define the attractiveness of Croatia in the eyes of investors. I would say at the moment that the awareness of the society about the necessity of reforms is growing. Therefore, it seems to me that one of quick wins of Croatian membership in EU could be actually the support and the anchor that membership could provide for the reforms. And I really hope that the government, which is of course the most responsible at the moment, but also each of us who work in the public arena will see the membership as actually an opportunity for the reforms. However, the things are not only black. Far away from that. Croatia has a number of advantages and really number of specific features and number of opportunities that brought to the EU. Geographical position, excellent and motivating examples of successful small and not so small export-oriented businesses, tourism, preserved environment, richness in water resources. Did you know Croatia is among 5 richest countries in water per capita in the world? Developed and stable banking system. Many other industries which are also very well integrated in the European market are these advantages I'm talking about. Therefore, my message to you about Croatia would be that it is true that Croatia joined the EU in an economic shape which is fragile, in an economic shape which we who participated in the negotiating process expected to see better, to see more flexible, to see more sustainable than was actually the case. But I also believe that the membership in EU will help Croatian people to articulate better our opportunities and our advantages. One of the areas in which these advantages and opportunities exist is culture, is heritage, is the relationship between culture and heritage and tourism. Did you know that kids' picture books are the biggest Croatian export product in publishing industry? We are a small nation, small language. We believe that we have excellent masterpieces in literature that contributed to the general European culture. But Croatia is exporting kids' picture books in 28 countries, and these picture books are translated into 22 different languages. So these facts are not also known to everybody in Croatia. Just simply under the radar of the public attention, of the policymakers, small export niche was created for the authors, for the illustrators, for the designers. And these products and these occupations are not very tradable. But obviously this example shows with imagination, with the creative approach, it is possible, even in the case of a small country with a language known only to the Croats. Also, audiovisual sector is an area with high potential. Croatia offers the payback of costs incurred by film producers for the productions realized in Croatia. The payback amount to 20% of actual costs realized in Croatia during the film production. Such an incentive was introduced in 2011, and the results actually during last 2 years are really excellent in terms of the volume of the film production activity created on the ground. Therefore, as a result, some of the known hits like Game of Thrones or Borgia Family were produced on Croatian sites. Having in mind the diversity of the country, I believe this is the area where a lot of new projects and a lot of new activities and a lot of new jobs can be created in future. Another example of the opportunity for job creation based on heritage is the example of underwater cultural heritage in Adriatic Sea. In the Adriatic Sea, there are a number of underwater sites, and there are the plans and projects to actually establish underwater archaeological parks, which could be self-financing with 30,000 visitors per year. It is estimated that 60,000 divers visit Croatia every year. So the implementation of such an idea would really provide an very good addition and very good extension of the general tourist services offered by Croatia, but would also provide the jobs for domestic people, in particular for the people on the islands, which are suffering from depopulation and which are actually becoming less and less populated. I hope that such a program is going to be realized, because I believe it is an example of an excellent opportunity for the use of the sea, archaeology, heritage, to combine all these together into a completely new product. Opportunities also exist on the continent. The the traditional wooden houses have already been reconstructed, 250 of them, wooden houses which are really specific for Croatia, and these houses are today available to tourists. They can sleep there, but they can also use domestic food, which means that this kind of a project is a project that creates jobs for the domestic people, mainly villagers, contribute to the preservation of local way of living, traditional methods of food production, and create a market for healthy food. Lot of sectors and a lot of activities together. My last example, my last case study is actually the area of opportunities which exist in the region of Hrvatsko Zagorje in relation to the old castles. This is the area, Hrvatsko Zagorje, on the north of Zagreb, with more than 100 castles. These castles are not in very good shape, but are standing there since medieval times. It is estimated that that few of them could be museums. Some of them could be high residential places, the residential places of high quality, but the majority of them are actually available to be used in some other way, either as hospitals, homes for older people, wellness centers, or something similar. In conclusion, I would say that these small examples I have tried to share with you, that these examples clearly confirm that number of opportunities for job creation exist in the area of the heritage of the culture. I hope that the EU membership will serve as a trigger to actually use these opportunities in a better and more productive way. However, even me as economist understands that culture and cultural activities cannot be looked at only through the lenses of business and business opportunity. This is particularly true in a small country as Croatia. But exactly because we are talking about the small country with current economic difficulties, the ability of a culture industry to use its economic potential is important, because this is the sustainable way to create resources for further preservation and development of national cultural identity. According to some data, currently 4% of EU GDP and 5% of EU employment is generated by the sector of culture. We in Croatia believe that Croatia can achieve these figures in 10 to 15 years, which will mean the creation of several thousand new jobs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now let's take some questions from the audience. One here and then one here.
Yep. Hey. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, madam, for a lovely lecture and presentation. My name is Mats Fritzberger of the Danish Foreign Policy Society. I am very impressed by the achievements of the nation of Croatia here in recent years. And I want to thank you especially for your own personal efforts in that connection. However, I think from at least a Danish point of view, 40% of youth unemployment is still alarming. And I was wondering Could you please give us first from an economist's point of view and then the politician's point of view, what can we do to decrease this very high number? Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Youth unemployment is really worrying. The level of youth unemployment is really worrying. What can be done? One of the ways to actually reduce youth unemployment and to include young people into the process of education and to control actually the quality of the process of education in a way that they are educated for the occupations that are needed, is something which Croatia is continuously trying to implement. So even in a situation of such a high unemployment, Croatia has also very high number of young people included in the process of education. Therefore, the general answer and how to improve this situation, I cannot see any other answer to actually push the economy on a path of sustainable growth. Because, as I said, it is actually a contradictory fact that we have a relatively high number of young people included in the process of education and also a very high unemployment of the young people. That would tell me that the main cause of the youth unemployment is linked to the general economic situation and to the state of the economy which I have described and explained. The other thing which can be done is actually to stimulate the employment of people without experience. Croatia made some steps forward in that area through legal solutions that actually stimulate the firms to employ young people without experience for a relatively low salary on which they are not required to pay taxes or contributions. However, this is a short and temporary measure, but the idea of such a measure is to actually create a space for young people to gain some experience which will make their further employment easier. I will be quite honest, we also expect some contribution and benefits from the general EU direction in this area through the youth guarantee and similar initiatives. But my opinion would be that the situation in the area of youth unemployment cannot be improved without a general improvement in the state of the economy, and that's the reason why I was talking about a pressing reform agenda, because having in mind the overall situation and the length and depth of the crisis, lack of reforms somehow are the most important explanatory variable of the Croatian crisis.
Hello, I'm Zita from Croatia. You partly answered my question. I wonder, like today we are witnessing a new devastating report of European Commission about the economic situation in Croatia, and you were mentioning some opportunities in cultural, like employment of young people. I know, like it's really nice, scuba diving, villagers, but like the biggest threat is immigration of educated people. As you mentioned, lots of people are very, very educated. My friends having masters and PhD, they're all immigrating, looking for better jobs in European Union, and situation is getting just worse. So I'm interested, what's your opinion about that and what we can do?
Well, my opinion about that is related to the topic I have tried to introduce during the first part of the speech. The resolution and the improvement in the economic situation in Croatia unfortunately cannot be achieved in a very short period of time or over the night, and cannot be achieved without significant reforms. This was the reason why I was talking about the reform agenda. And in particular, I mean, and I have in mind the reforms which have two features. The first one, to contribute to the stabilization of the budget problems you have mentioned, but also at the same time to open and to reduce and remove at the end of the day the bottlenecks and the barriers which are somehow stopping the recovery. Unfortunately, Europe is and our trading partners and countries around us are fortunately recovering. However, this is not going to be enough just to simply pull Croatia out of the crisis. So I really do not see, this is my honest professional opinion, I really do not see the way out without important and significant changes in the way how the public administration is functioning, in the way how the legal and administrative framework is organized in relation to the investors. Without such a things, unfortunately, Croatia will stay low at the ranking list of investors. However, in a consistent policy framework, the reform agenda obviously should be accompanied by some other measures which are related to the investment projects, reduction of tax burden, and so on and so on. But my opinion is that Croatia actually is desperately needing a consistent framework of economic policy, which is going to be comprehensive, and on the top of everything, supported by enough level of political understanding and political dialogue. Non-existence of political dialogue, I am not going to use the word consensus, but the economic situation in Croatia would defend and would justify any sort of consensus, because that kind of a consensus is needed. Reforms cannot be implemented only through the one political mandate. And that, in my opinion, is one of the most important ingredients of successful recovery and growth of the economy. Croatia can hire the best economists of the world, and they can prepare the best economic plan. If the political leaders are not able to reach mutual dialogue and mutual consensus and mutual understanding about these measures, they are going to be ineffective. And at the moment, the situation is that political dialogue in Croatia almost doesn't exist.